Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Two Vulgar Nerds. This is Laz, and I'm here with a little review for Insurgency. I tracked it a little while, about a year ago. I forget who I was watching on YouTube, but another one of the gaming channels had played it a little bit, and it actually looks substantially different now from then. What it is it's one of the tactical shooters, and it's actually got an emphasis on realism rather than slamming, realism across the cover, but being about as accurate as just not being very accurate in general. One of the advantages that it has is they've fairly accurately modeled your plate carrier. So while you can take 2 or 3 hits if you're lucky, that's only because you're catching it in the vest. So if you're running around with no armor, you're going to move faster, but don't really expect to be surviving. It's a hell of a lot of fun, though. One of the things that they've done best with is they've managed to keep the shotgun fair while still actually being somewhat realistic. You can see in the footage I recorded, I'm actually running around with a Mossberg 590. I slapped a red dot for faster acquisition, and I'm running with a slug, which gives me a lot of extra range. I was dinking around with it earlier today. I actually was clearing 80-yard shots with slug, which is not bad under combat conditions, especially in an unrifled barrel. The gunplay in general actually is very good. You don't have any crosshairs, as you can see. The only thing that you have to work with is the sights on your weapon. So anybody that's spent any time actually shooting is going to have an advantage, because you recognize the sight picture, you know where to place your shots. It's also incredibly frustrating sometimes, because you'll end up in a situation where the AI is really inconsistent. The gunplay is great, though. I mean, it's very cathartic, it's very enjoyable. The movement is nice and smooth, too, although I find it kind of entertaining that, you're running around with what I'm guessing are ceramic trauma plates. So you're lugging about 30 pounds worth of gear, and you're able to sprint across the whole map, and back and forth and back and forth. So, I mean, not everything is totally realistic, but in practice, it's a lot more fun. As you can see from the footage I shot, there is an awful lot of running around when you're running solo matches. The AI is about as useful as a brick. Yeah, it's about as useful as a brick. 9 times out of 10, I'll start running out of spawn, and I'll see my teammates in a corner trying to run through an opening that's about 8 feet to the left. Herp derp 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 derp. Hi, IR operator. It's not game breaking, and of course this isn't really intended to be played solo. However, the fact that the option is there is nice, especially for antisocial asshats like myself. The AI is, though, I mean, coming back to this, the AI is incredibly inconsistent. And that does detract from the fun sometimes, because you'll go from situations where you'll watch, and both your team and the opposing team will just kind of stand there and stare at each other for 30 or 40 seconds until you open fire, or you'll be hiding behind cover, you'll be behind concealment, and something will hit you from across the street, down the street, and peg you perfect headshot through the object. So it can be a little frustrating, but overall it's a lot of fun. One of the things that they did not put in is proper ballistic profiling, which in a game, there are enough maps to warrant it, but with the pace of the game, and the 1-hit kills, 1 to 2 hit kills, it's a feature that's not really necessary, and it'd probably be less fun than as it is currently. Like here, I'm taking pot shots at a good 60 yards or so, and that's a 45 ACP. It should be dropping like a stone, but it's not, and it's fun. This is something else they did right. Suppressors. Now these two clowns don't actually notice me because there's a gunfight going on, but when there's nothing, they will hear you. Your can is not silent. It's actually fairly loud. It's about like real life, about like dropping a textbook onto a cement floor. So it gives you some different advantages, but it balances out fairly well while retaining realism, which is something that you don't see a lot of. You see a lot more your buckshot turns into confetti after 5 feet, The movement's nice and smooth, though. It's responsive. The only complaint that I have is a player thing. When I'm reloading, say, the shotgun or anything else that I'm loading one shell at a time with, the Remington, the M40, you load it one at a time, and when you right-click to pop into aim, it takes about 2.5 seconds to rotate the weapon back into the ready position and fire, which has led to some very interesting situations where one of the AI insurgents has popped around a corner while I'm reloading, stared at me, and then just kind of waited for me to casually bring the gun up and peg him in the gut. It's pretty fun. But it's also it runs very smooth. Frequently, and I mean constantly, the AI is going to pop off smoke grenades, incendiaries, etc., and you're going to be dealing with tons of particle effects. Normally, games that are very heavy with particle effects are obnoxious as hell and will drop my frame rate pretty substantially, especially when I'm recording. You'll also notice that after you fire, your barrel burnt propellant, you get a little bit of smoke, and it's kind of cool. Just a nice visual effect. I don't actually have any recorded footage of running with the the night vision gear, spookies, but they've also modeled that impressively. They did a good job, I mean, at least in as much as the exposure to civilian equipment has shown. They do a good job of how it reacts to being exposed to light, low light levels, muzzle flash. Oh man, sitting on the squad auto and providing covering fire with your NVGs on you're gonna have a bad time. Really though, it's good. It's cathartic. It's one of the few where I'm actually considering dipping my toe into the online multiplayer to give it a shot. But it's totally worth the asking price. If you're into a little bit more realism and a little bit less OMG YOLO swag 360 no scope, give it a shot. No pun intended. This was Laz, and that's my thoughts on Insurgency. Have a great evening. Don't forget to, like, share, comment, stop on our Facebook page, call us assholes, the usual.